The story of Belle Gunness begins in Norway. Born Brynhild Paulsdatter Storseth in 1859, she immigrated to the United States in 1881. Like many immigrants, she arrived with dreams of a better life in the land of opportunity. But Belle Gunness chose a path far darker than most. She was a large, powerfully built woman, and on the surface, she appeared kindly and hospitable. Yet, beneath that facade lay a profound darkness and a set of brutally cold motivations. She wasn't just one of the most prolific female serial killers in history. She was a terrifying example of crime driven by pure, unadulterated greed. Belle's criminal life began subtly in Chicago. She married her first husband, Mads Svensson, in 1884. Not long after, their confectionery business, and then their home, mysteriously burned down. While suspicious, these incidents were attributed to accidents, and the insurance payouts provided a significant sum. Then, 2 of their children died in infancy, seemingly from acute colitis, a condition that oddly mimicked symptoms of poisoning. Svensson himself died on the very day 2 life insurance policies on him overlapped. Doctors initially attributed his death to heart failure, but a skeptical coroner eventually ruled it poisoning. However, no charges were ever filed, and Belle collected a substantial insurance payout. This pattern of convenient deaths and lucrative insurance claims would become a hallmark of her horrifying career. With her ill-gotten gains, Belle moved to La Porte, Indiana, in 1902 and purchased a sprawling farm. It was here that her true monstrosity would fully unfurl. Her second husband, Peter Gunness, a Norwegian immigrant and butcher, met a swift and suspicious end within months of their marriage. A heavy sausage grinder allegedly fell on his head, killing him. Belle claimed it was an accident, but his daughter from a previous marriage suspected foul play. Again, Belle collected a hefty insurance payout. The farm at La Porte became the centerpiece of her macabre operations. Recognizing the loneliness of many men seeking companionship, particularly immigrant bachelors, Belle began placing advertisements in Norwegian-language newspapers across the Midwest. Her ads, often accompanied by a charming photograph, promised a loving, prosperous future with a financially secure widow who desired a husband to share her farm and her heart. These men, often carrying their life savings, were her unwitting prey. They arrived one by one, hopeful and vulnerable. Belle would charm them, sometimes even marrying them, before methodically killing them. Her methods varied. Some were poisoned, others bludgeoned or dismembered. She often buried their bodies, or parts of them, in shallow graves around her farm, a chilling testament to her methodical nature and her grotesque disregard for human life. She was particularly adept at extracting every last penny from her victims before their demise, either through direct theft or by persuading them to transfer their assets to her. As men continued to arrive at the Gunness farm and then vanish without a trace, whispers began to circulate in the quiet rural community. Neighbors noticed a steady stream of new faces, followed by their abrupt disappearance. One individual, a man named Andrew Helgelian from South Dakota, had been exchanging letters and money with Belle. When he arrived at the farm in January 1908 with $1,000, he too vanished. His brother, Assel Helgelian, grew increasingly concerned after receiving no word from Andrew. He wrote to Belle, demanding to know his brother's whereabouts. Belle's evasive and contradictory responses only heightened his suspicions. Assel decided to travel to La Porte in April 1908 to investigate personally. His arrival coincided with a horrifying discovery. On April 28th, a massive fire consumed the Gunness farmhouse. When local authorities searched the charred remains, they found 4 bodies in the cellar, 3 small children and a headless female torso. The initial assumption was that Belle and her children had perished in the blaze. The community mourned, believing a tragic accident had claimed the family. However, Asle Helgelian remained unconvinced. He insisted that the headless body was not Belle. He pointed out that Belle was a physically large woman, far larger than the torso found. He pressed the local sheriff, Louis Schultz, to continue digging around the property. Reluctantly, Sheriff Schultz agreed, and what they unearthed would shock the nation. What followed was a gruesome excavation of the Gunness farm that revealed the true extent of Belle's depravity. Asle Helgelian's persistence led to the discovery of multiple shallow graves around the property, particularly in the pig pen and under the chicken coop. Body after body was unearthed, often dismembered and buried in burlap sacks. The remains included Andrew Helgelian, as well as numerous other men who had answered Belle's Lonely Hearts ads, their identities slowly pieced together through meticulous investigation. Some estimates put the number of victims unearthed at over a dozen, though the exact count remains uncertain due to the fragmentary nature of some remains. The discovery of these bodies confirmed that Belle Gunness was not merely a victim of a house fire, but a cold-blooded serial killer who had systematically murdered men for their money. The headless body found in the cellar was later identified as that of Jenny Olson, a former housekeeper of Belle's, or possibly another adult female. This led to the chilling realization: Belle Gunness had faked her own death. She had likely murdered an innocent woman, perhaps Jenny, decapitated her, and placed her in the cellar to be found, creating the illusion of her own demise. Her ultimate goal was to escape prosecution and enjoy her stolen wealth. The investigation that followed was extensive but ultimately unsuccessful in finding Belle. Theories abounded. Did she escape to another state or country? Did she adopt a new identity? Was she ultimately found years later, living a quiet life under a different name? Despite numerous sightings and investigations across the United States, Belle Gunness, the Black Widow of LaPorte, was never definitively captured or accounted for after the fire. The case of Belle Gunness remains one of the most infamous and perplexing in American criminal history. Her methods were brutally efficient, her motives purely financial, and her ability to deceive and manipulate astonishing. She preyed on the desperate loneliness of men, turning their hopes for companionship into their death sentences. The mystery of her ultimate fate continues to captivate true crime enthusiasts. Was she burned in the fire after all, perhaps by her accomplice, her handyman, Ray Lamphere, who was arrested and confessed to setting the fire, though not to the murders before dying in prison? Or did she successfully escape, living out her days under a new identity, forever haunted by the ghosts of her victims? The farm at LaPorte, Indiana, once a quiet rural property, is forever etched in memory as the Murder Farm, a grim monument to the unspeakable horrors perpetrated by the seemingly benevolent, yet utterly monstrous, Belle Gunness. Her story serves as a chilling reminder of the darkness that can lie hidden behind the most ordinary of facades.